Good morning, everyone. How you doing, Justin? Andre? Yeah, I saw that this morning. Right. I'm getting set up here and then we'll get started. Worked actually. Let's see. Still glitching out today. There we go. Alright, so see, we already have somebody on the live stream. Welcome. If you can let me know who's on there. So yeah, overnight we saw the markets gap up, which leads to what we discussed yesterday before the market closed, and what we were assuming would happen. Currently seeing an overall score of 5 for the day. On the overall markets, U.S. equities looking pretty strong, but I tracked them about 6:30. I'm gonna track them again at about 7:30, so we can watch how we go into the market open. SPY bounced back up to 391, wasn't too strong, but the QQQ did hit 319. I think it was like 319.60 or so before it rebounded. Yeah, right around 319.60, which leads into the overall, expectation that we will be in this compression zone that we've been following for about the last few days. It's actually something to this degree. Let's see, let me shape that up right. There we go. So I want to see how it opens. Of course, it's trading above the EMAs. We saw that happen Monday, and nipped us in the bud basically. So I'm going to be following those EMAs going into the day. See, we got Bear on here, we got John, Justin, we got a few people from Investors Talk. We got Andre from Global Markets. Andre, can you hear me?
You know what I say to all people on social media? If they ever had a stop, they would stop worrying about no publicity.
Hey, Andre. There we go. Alright, there we go. I had to go ahead and put him on mute for a minute until he sees my messages. So anyways, really wanting to see how these react. I actually need to dig down a little bit deeper on this because there was it's right there what I'm watching. But anyways, like I said, we were looking at doing calls on the markets anyways. Catch it on the rebound. It gapped up on us a little quicker than we could after closing about, I think it was like 316. What was it? 316.99 or so, about 317. I wanted to catch the gap up. It already has gapped up. We were planning on doing a swing to the gap top of the trend. If we broke through, we were going to ride the calls, and then potentially see if we hit this top level and reverse back down a little bit to then hit this lower trend line and bounce out of it and catch calls on the way back up. So For the most part, I think it's going to fill that gap going into today a little bit. We might see it retrace just a little bit, not much, but for the most part, looks like it's playing into my thought process that we're going to finally get out of this downtrend that we've been in over this long term period. I've been watching longer term period, I guess you could say. That being something like this. Actually, I deleted some of these lines from the other day, and I'm kind of mad I did it because it's actually this that I'm looking at. There we go. And it's more so about right there. So this being our longer term trend, if you hear me refer to that, and then our shorter term trend being our orange channel right here. We broke down below that orange channel a little bit going into yesterday and stuff like that. So let's see, we got Carl on here, Krista's on here, Jen, Bear, Help Me Raid's new, welcome. Let me let the people know in the voice chat, the general chat. Cool, that'll work. Coffee and stocks.
So I'm just getting in. You're saying we're looking at calls today for the QQQ?
I'm gonna be watching it, but yes, for the most part, that's what I'm looking at. I want to see it gap down a little bit going into the morning, let it pull back some, and catch it on that bottom. And then from there, we ride it back up and hopefully break the trend overall, get out of this rut that the market, the QQQ specifically, is in. I need to basically go back over the SPY and see where we're at with it. We haven't been trading the SPY for the past few days, so for the most part, it's pulled out of its midterm trend and has been performing pretty well. So I'm not really following that too much. But if we were to analyze this from here, let me go on the 4 hour, we would look something like this. So that, and this is the channel that it's trading in. So I wouldn't say that it's out of the trend. It's just we had to readjust it based on current performance, and it itself is at the top of the trend. Another one I'm going to incorporate, or not reincorporate, but incorporate into this is the IWM as well, because we're seeing the same thing over there as well. So this is what I'm looking at with it, and basically what I'm going after is finding those that have more weight. So the Russell 2000 does carry a lot of weight on it. So the movements are pretty strong here as far as the ranges we can trade in and out of. Not too much different from the QQQ as far as price points and movements. That's the channel I'm watching on it.
Hey, can Andre mute his mic?
I'm trying to. I'm about to call him. I'm not sure if he can hear me or not. I think he has us on mute. So let me call him real quick.
You can mute him.
I did.
It'll only mute him between you and from your platform and his platform. So if you go up to his name and right click on it,
Yeah.
it'll mute you, or mute him from
Can-
vice versa.
Can you hear him now?
I muted him, but
Hey,
when you muted him, Tim, you only did it between you and him.
Andre. Can you mute your mic? Yeah. I've been talking to you this whole time. I was wondering, I thought you had your volume down or something. I don't. I think I have you muted on the server overall, but for now. But I just wanted to call and let you know. I'm gonna get back to the call though. Alright. You may have your volume muted, but your mic's not muted. I think I muted you.
Oh, okay, you did it.
Yeah, so do it yourself. That way you can hop in and hop out. Alright, cool. Alright. Alright, so, for the most part, though, I want to identify. I mean, the IWM is in the same uptrend that everything else is for the most part. So, that being something like this, and then top rejection right there. So, but we'll be watching it as well. And the channel that it's in, all three of them are pretty much in the same channel. So, we have the QQQ more defined because we've been trading it so well, so much, I guess, and well for the most part. But right now we're riding above those EMAs. That was the mistake I made Monday. As you can see, we were above those EMAs after a gap up as well. So I expected to tap the EMAs going into market open and bounce off of it again, like we saw on Monday. The difference is we were hitting the 180 right around that time frame, so we could actually drop down and hit the 180 and bounce off of it at that point, unless it breaks through it and continues falling to the downside. So I'm not rushing into this morning. It looks like if we wait till about 9 every morning for you guys in the small group challenge, that we can dial in better on our options that we're making on the overall markets. If we do break out of these channels, then I will be picking back up on pushing swing trades out to the community. So, and that will be a green light for you guys that are holding things long term, that you would want to, start seeing some gains on moving forward. Now, we have been working on the spread tracker to identify some of those stocks we want to look at the most based on the coffee and stocks list that you guys have basically put together. If there's any stocks anybody wants to look at, I'm more than willing to look at one per person. If you're on the YouTube, I don't see too many people on the YouTube live stream. It seems like everybody's migrated to the Discord call, and that's fine. But if you could go ahead and share the live stream anyway, so we can get some new followers in there. I'm using the YouTube live stream for newcomers, if they haven't already jumped into the Discord with us. So let me let investors talk. No, they're probably gonna hate me. What's that?
I have one day trade to work with today.
Okay.
So now I'm not really familiar with swing trades at all. So is that like a put? So from my limited understanding, it'd be a put and a call on the same stock. So you're trying to capitalize and spread your risk over both, correct?
So that's a spread option. Swing trade is basically you're hopping into something and you're waiting either from 20 to 30 days or 2 to 3 months on it to move.
Okay, but I don't have to worry about a day trade as far as the swing trades.
No. We're expecting to hold swing trades for at least 20 to 30 days to get at least 10 to 20% off of it. Most of the time we get about 40 to 50. And that goes into what we actually worked on together, John, was that spread tracker. Going through and identifying our key levels, what our expectations are, and with our swing trades we have a 5% suggested stop loss, which might be too deep for some people. You can adjust that appropriately, but that gives it some cushion. With the 10% sell threshold, what that means is if it drops 5%, then you can look at selling it or putting a stop loss there to minimize your risk exposure, or you can give it that extra 5% cushion beyond that stop loss, to the 10% level, for the simple fact that we're going after 10 to 20% gains. That's where they offset. So at least a 10% sell threshold is what we highly commit to, and basically advise others to basically pay attention to, even if we're not pushing the trade. Now, we might have confidence in the trade a little bit more than you, and we might let it slide a little bit on the 10% and average down or something like that, but we typically don't average down. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If it breaks down, we just let it, and then we jump back into it from there in order to basically, capture it at the bottom. But yeah, with these, this is not day trading. It's two different types of trading. You'll get to learn a little bit more about that as we go through them. Which we average about 57. I think it was 51% the last time I checked my average on those. But back to the overall markets right now. We were at an overall score of 5. We pulled down to a 3. The VIX is down 2%, so I'm expecting it to be far below $19 now. Or, let's see. Oh, we're at 20, so that's 2% from yesterday. But we've been riding 20 since COVID hit, and I've been identifying that to you guys to watch that. That's basically your it's a gauge for investor sentiment, so, and volatility in the markets, and so it's pulled back fairly well over the past few days, and it's allowed these markets to bounce up on us the way they have been at the same time. So the U.S. 10-year, as far as that regard, pulled down to 162 the last I checked it. Yeah, we're still there, hitting the 180 on the 10-minute right now, so and rejections on that level. But for the most part, looking at it from this standpoint, it looked like it was kind of propping up on the 1 hour. Let's see. Yeah, it's starting to break through its EMAs and that support level around the 162.2. I feel like the markets are separating from the movements in the U.S. 10-year, meaning that the concern that it brought on the markets is kind of dying out. We typically see a large influx in concern, and then it slowly just goes away, almost like these meme stocks. So I'll still be watching it and making sure that it's not having the effects that it previously was on the markets, and if we're free. Now, in regards to your EV markets, Tesla jumped up to 662, I believe, this morning, currently at 669. It hasn't been able to stay above 695 for the most part. I mean, it's jumped up to 700, I think, sometime last week, around Friday or something like that. I can't remember the exact date, or it may have been Wednesday. But it hasn't stayed above 700 for some time now. And I feel like it's been setting itself up to do so, for sure. But if you're holding anything in the EV space, you're pretty much going to be trending sideways or up and down within a certain price range for the most part until Tesla can take the pressure off of it, or if a stock were to separate itself from what Tesla is doing in the EV space. If you have any crypto plays, we can look at Bitcoin real quick. It's sitting around 56,901. Looks like it's finding some short support around the 56.6. What was that? I was just seeing right there. Let me open up the chart a little bit more. So is this the one I was? No, this is Bitstamp. I was using the one off of Coinbase for us. Oh, we have a few people in the Discord. I'm sorry, guys. What's up, J-Dub? What's up, Reg? Seems like we have a few more people there as well. Welcome. For the most part, though, on Bitcoin, we've been finding stronger support at the 54,000 levels, right below it, actually, at 53,000. I'm sorry. And it's stuck to it for the most part. It broke down, and that's when we've seen it hit those 44,000 levels. Since then, has bounced up and touched these 61,000s. That's where we peaked out and pulled back a little bit. It needs to stay above 57.8 for its next run moving forward. So if you have any crypto plays like Riot, Mara, DBW, even NXTD, pay attention to Bitcoin on that moving forward, as you already know. Did anybody have any stocks they wanted to look at this morning on the Coffee and Stocks watch list? I'll pull that up. I'm not showing them. Oh wow, thank you. Forgot to click the button, Reg. Appreciate it. I'm so focused on the Discord call now, since everybody's kind of migrated from YouTube to Discord, outside of anybody new that's getting picked up from any of the Facebook groups and stuff of that nature. Let's go through and see what some of our top performers were yesterday. we're pretty much going to see pretty big red list for the most part. Um, Looks like G-Tech. I've been talking about G-Tech for some time now, um, and it looks like it's above that 1340 level. I wanted to see it back above. I said this was a buy zone, and I think you can ride this back up to $20 even at these price points. Even with Tesla coming down, this has still been going up. We can compare the two. I like G-Tech. It's a commercial, industrial EV manufacturer. It's not even, it's a holdings company more than anything. So it actually gained the license from SOCMA, which is a Chinese manufacturer. But I like it because it's commercial EV and it's in the industrial industry or sector. And even through COVID, construction was doing very well. So to see something be that resilient through a pandemic, this is where I would want to put my money in the EV space, just as much as RMO, even though RMO is getting weighed down by Tesla itself. I like G-Tech. Moving forward though, BEP did well. Brookford Renewable Partners. I need to do some DD on them because they did pretty well yesterday. They were up. They were only up 1%, but the markets came down overall. So that's what I'm trying to identify. Is I can't type in your gen, but PDAC. Okay. Let me see. Give me a second. Make sure you have. Sorry. There you go, Jen. There you go. Why am I broke? I already got Balkan done. There you go. Alright, cool. Anyways, moving forward. Jen, you should be good. You said you wanted to look at PDAC. Might be worth a mention for investment. Okay, cool. Let's have a look. So Jen, typically what we do is we allow members to come in and at least add a stock a day that they want to look at, and we review it together. We do a tech analysis. On Saturdays we'll go more in depth on them. Let's see. I like the support level that it's formed right here at the 1071s for sure. I agree with you on that. But the thing that's worrying me the most is the EMA rejections that it's having on the 34 there, around the 1122s, 1124s. Next level that I would watch for on this specifically would be around the $13 price range if we can get above this 1170. So this would definitely be my buy zone on the bottom between the 1050 and 1170. It's about a 120 spread that you can capture before this takes off. Let me see. And then my midline would be about $13. So if you were to jump into this right now, do you have like a $2.30 spread, which is about 23%, give or take 20%, just off the top of my head, on that mid-range resistance retest that I would look forward to doing. Beyond that, if we're able to break $13 eventually, it's an acquisition cut the swing trade. So I like these types of setups. It's a good find. Thank you for bringing it to our attention. I'm going to add it to the list so we can continue tracking it. PDAC. Let's see. There we go. It's on the New York Stock Exchange, so let's see, what else do we got? Got NLVVF, which is a sub penny stock, which you guys know I'm not big on those, but myself. But I mean, it's ripe for setup. I like it. Looks like it's finding some strong support. It had some support rejections, but eventually made its way back above the 39-cent level. And I would want to see this above 42. It was supposed to find support above 42. Broke down below it. As soon as it did, it basically did a falling knife. Hit the long-term support here, which is defined the long-term support. Bounced right back off of it. bounced above the 42 and still couldn't find support. So now we're trading below the 40. But need to stay above the 42 if you're in this or hopping in it and going back to the 50. Of course, we looked at the US 10-year snow. One of our long-term investments we've been looking at on coffee and stocks, for the most part, has had some downward pressure. Sticking to this downward trend. I want to say it's a channel we developed there. LDI, I know someone that has day traded it. It just went public. We have about 5 people on the YouTube live stream. Thank you. Welcome. If you have any stocks you want to look at, we allow at least one per person. Feel free to drop it in the chat if you would. Subscribe to the channel, and also just simply show your support by sharing it. Facebook, Twitter, wherever, Discord, whatever Discords allow you to. So J-Dub, you know that I'm not fond of stocks that just started publicly trading, because it doesn't have too much information fundamentally, and then again, it doesn't have too much available for tech analysis. But looking at it from that standpoint, I am seeing it form a longer trend right here. I want to see how it rebounds off that 9. It looks like, or I'm sorry, 2083 level, right about where it's sitting. But there is some support that formed right around the 1892. So even if it breaks this longer term trend, I'd see where it bounces off that level and continues pushing higher. My next level of resistance I would pay attention to is about the 2389. So that gives us about close to a $5 spread. We're about midway in there and pushing downward, so I expect it to hit the 1892 more so than pushing on this I guess you could say longer term trend that it's trading on since about the beginning of March. If it breaks down, look at it for the 892 for an entry. That'll give you that $5 spread back to the $23 price range, which is about close to 30-40% on the swing trade, just off the top of my head. So let me add that. We'll keep an eye on it. Loan Depot. Okay. I like Loan Depot. I like anything financial. As of right now, due to the tech rotation, out of tech rotation, finance is doing well temporarily. It's a temporary thing. I don't think that it's going to continue. As interest rates push up, pressure on the financial markets are going to come down on the markets themselves. So bringing some of these price points down, you can buy them cheaper, hold them long term. It depends on how you're looking at these stocks as well. If you're doing a swing trade, just trying to capture some shorter term gains, or if you're getting into these investments on the long haul. So depending upon how you're looking at these stocks determines whether or not my analysis fits what you're looking for. So tomorrow 3's been one of those that seems to only go up for the most part, but it looks like it's finally breaking down out of that trend. We were looking to see if it could stay above. I mean, this goes back. I think the stock goes back for some time where it hasn't stayed above 1873. And as soon as we hopped above that level, it found some rejections, came back down. It's currently looking at consolidating. I want to see if it found some support about 1747. Excuse me. I need more coffee. And if it breaks through that, then you could probably catch this around 1629. But I just don't see it coming down that low. Of course, we're looking at this on the weekly. Let's look at it on the daily. We're already seeing the downward pressure building some support around the 1806. This could bounce again, but you only have a 73-cent spread. And I like longer spreads. That's why we have the spread tracker to identify that. I don't know if you guys were on the call yesterday, but my 7-month-old daughter was typing on the keyboard, and she was typing in tickers, and I said I was going to take $100 and let her invest in her own stocks in her own little way. So this was one of the stocks that she actually clicked on, and it's funny that I'm looking at it right now because it's forming a great support level right around the 10 until she picks her next stop. I don't know when that's going to be. It's whenever she wants to type. So I'm going to just hold this. That'll give me about 10 shares to sit on for, and this could bounce up to about 1168 before finding more resistance If it stays above 1168, then I'll let it ride to 1343. We'll look at about a 34% gain from a darter, which would be cool. But
What's the ticker on that? I want to watch that too.
SFTW, Osprey Tech
SSTW.
Acquisition. I didn't have
And
that
those
in
are
my
the
life.
SPAC that's merging with Black Sky.
I believe so, yes. I actually did a little bit of DD, not as much as I wanted to, but now that she's going to be invested in it, I will go a little more in depth. But I'm going to go ahead and jump in it while I have the opportunity. For the most part, I don't see it coming below the 1030s. It's been riding that level for some time now, all the way back to December, and it's played strong support for the most part. So, doesn't look like the 1 hour is showing signs of coming down any more than where it's at. I'm just going to let it sit. And so, I'm going to have a dedicated portion of my account. It's going to be called the Darth Beta segment of my account. And I'm going to just let it run, see what it does. Next on the list, we looked at Tesla already. Hit 669 this morning. They just announced, Elon tweeted this morning that you can now buy a Tesla with Bitcoin. Didn't really have the push. I don't know if his tweets are fading out like meme stocks, but didn't really have the push I was expecting. We'll see going into the day if it makes a difference, but I'm really more looking towards whether or not they're still holding that there's 34,000 Bitcoins or not, or if they capture some of those gains. But I think they're more so holding them long term, so I think they still have them. But that makes a difference because they should be up about $475 million on that trade. I think they bought, I think it was like 1.5 billion. Correct me if I'm wrong. But me and Dylan sat down and did the math. It was about 34,000 Bitcoins. They bought at around 40, either 44,000 or 47,000. I think it was 44. And it jumped up to 57,000. And they, right around the 57 to 58K mark, it hit about $475 million that they gained access to in liquidity within a week. It was nuts. But anyways, I'll be watching Tesla though. You guys know that I'm heavy on EV plays long term, more commercial EV plays versus consumer. So your RMOs being one of the industry leaders for developing EV batteries, they pretty much dominate the US and Europe markets for Class 8 type service vehicles, being your 18-wheelers and stuff like that. And they're already tapped into the Class 7s. They work with Peterbilt, they work with Kenworth, and what's the other one? Freightliner already. And then they're working directly with Nikola and KLA. They have an investment with Borg Warner, which actually develops propulsion systems and electrical components. And then they just hooked up with, I think, a company called Heritage Environmental Services to focus on waste management EV vehicles as well. But the other one being G-Tech, that's your construction industrial. I'm looking for competitors because I don't want to have myself dead set on, just one or two companies. I want to spread my portfolio out. There was an analysis done over the weekend saying that Tesla is expected to hit about $4,000 by 2025, which is about roughly 4.75 years from now. That speaks into the play that I looked at RMO being a $40, $50 stock just on general growth. But off that statement alone, if Tesla is really the market mover and everything stays tied to the movements in Tesla, and that were to jump 45, then you can expect everything across the board to follow suit. By 2035, EVs are going to increase 19%. They'll increase 19% up until then, but they'll actually take over your gas emission type vehicles by 2035. And they'll continue to grow for 19% after that. And so buying into EVs now is a good long 5-10 year, at least 5 year, but 10-year play. Something I look to build half of my retirement off of, basically. Because regardless of the administration, I feel like that's going to be the new way. States are already requiring that by 2035 that like California, I think New York's participating, they deal with a lot of smog issues and stuff. California specifically, more so. They already have a mandate that you can't sell any car that is not electric by 2035. So that being one of the larger states in the country, that's going to play into it. I think there's some other states already considering the same things. So that's my EV push and why I'm looking at it. I feel like it's we're at the cuffs of the beginning. You about to go? I love you. Have a good. I'll let you know, my love. I love you. My daughter's going to school. You know what? I think I'm gonna put like $500 towards my fund. I'm gonna let Veda, our youngest daughter, do her. I'm gonna let her do the picks. So I'll put $500 on SFTW today, and just hold it out. For however long it goes. That'll give me roughly about 50 shares of it. I think it'd be worthwhile. And then that way I can split it up between the kids. But my ultimate goal in trading, some of you guys know, is basically me and my wife's retirement fund, of course, but my children's college funds. And I'm already on a short timeline with my oldest boy. Looking at the next stock though, to keep pushing through while we have some time. What time is it? 7 or 8? Right at 8. We have about 30 minutes left. Exchange is this in? Is this NASDAQ? Of course. It's starting to freeze on me. New York Stock Exchange. So I would follow the SPY on it. Or even the Russell for this matter. But it found support on that. This was a almost considered a growth stock, because I mean, look at the trend. For the most part, it's just been up and up ever since March. Ever since that pullback in March, it broke back above pre-pandemic levels all the way back in June, for the most part, and it has been just trending up and up and up. Finally had a pullback. You could probably jump into this a little bit cheaper. For the most part, it's stuck to that top line trend. If I can get my chart to quit messing with me. There we go. And get this out of the way, of course. But for the most part, it's staying on that, around that 34 EMA. It did break down below it a little bit, but stayed on that bottom and break through those support levels and hit about 28. We actually bounced off the 33.50, I think, before it reversed. A lot of people were concerned about this. It's the only reason we were watching it. But it broke down lower than its long-term growth trend, and then rebounded back above it. It took some time to do it, about a month or so, but it's finally back above those levels. Currently breaking down right now, below it again, and the EMA looks like it might be a fake breakout. So if you're in Pfizer, you know, watch out for it to pull down on you. You might be able to scalp it a little bit and re-enter if you're looking for a long term at a lower price point, unless you have an average that's just unbelievable, and it wouldn't make sense to do so. INFY is another one we were looking at. It's just like 8PG. It's just been running for the most part. This is an ADR, of course, so it's been finding resistance around the 914 and still hasn't broke above it. And that ultimately caused it to break back down below its growth trend. I have a support level of 1656 to try to catch. It might catch some support levels around the 1809 if we see a resistance to support reversal. But you know, this thing has performed the same way since March. We broke back above pre-pandemic levels in June, July as well, and it's just been taken off. It actually has a giant gap up here back off of earnings, it looks like, back in July 14th, 15th area time frames. But ever since then, it's just been running, and I think you could just, you know, buy a few shares of this and let them sit to the side. Nokia, another one, broke below $4. I was in Nokia heavy back during their earnings. Their earnings was okay, but it just didn't perform. I got out of it. I'm glad I did. It was around 470 when I got out of it. And I had a bunch of money on calls thinking that it was going to take off over the next few months. Of course, this was a part of the short squeeze movement, and to be honest, I'm surprised it got left out when AMC and GME picked back up. Speaking of GME, did anybody see that price point that it landed at? because I said it was coming back to like the 167s or something like that, and somebody told me I was retarded. It was currently at 155 pre-market. And now that is due to the earnings report coming out yesterday, which it drops 13.7% on average every earnings report for the past, I think, 8 quarters or something like that. Some research I was doing yesterday. Actually, Andre shared a link to me, and I read up on it. But yeah, it hit that 155, and I don't know how that's gonna, weigh down on some people that's been holding this for some time. I hope people were able to get out of it if you were stuck in it. Currently just bounced up about $5. But anyways, moving back into the list, Crone, CRON. Looks like it might be breaking down here a little bit on the daily EMAs, and is currently trading and finding rejections on the 13 on the bottom side of it. So this could continue pushing back down. I'm not sure if anybody has any positions in it, but watch out if it breaks down below 909. Then it's going to continue coming down. Let me reset my chart. There we go. If it breaks down below the 909, see this potentially coming back to the $7 price range. So just be careful. IVR is an insurance play that we were looking at going into the winter storms that came across the south. We expected insurance to pick up, and as you can see, it has for the most part. HTRG or HRTG, I might be saying that wrong. That was a stock that I had alerted on, HRTG. It actually bounced up to about $12, $12.55. I think some of our members said they were able to capture some gains on it. I wasn't in it myself. It jumped up to about 12.20 or so. Yeah, 12.20, 12.18. Has since then bounced back a certain percentage and let the profits continue running. So if you're still in it, watch for those 11.05s. I know I keep getting off track, but it keeps making me think about things. VALE, I think, is a crypto play now, or not only a crypto play, but also has some type of correlation with Tesla, from what somebody brought to my attention before. Currently trading below its CMAs. Look for support around the 1627 if we break down. And these are predefined. These are previously defined support levels. I think jumped has a long way down if it comes down. I'm looking at support around 1282 or 1230. But of course, I always like to look at how those price ranges correlate with previous levels of resistance, which is about right. To buy into this a little bit easier. BGI was one that OC and from our Facebook group suggested. We've been watching it for the most part, and it broke above that what was it, the 366, and it took off to 515. Came back down since then. Looks like it's been finding some slight support around those levels again on the 366. If it rides that 366, you can actually jump into this and get about $1.50 off the move, which will give you close to about 50%, a little bit less than that, 40-45% on the swing trade if you hop in it at that 366 level, of course. Looking at ACIC, and I'm probably going to stop going through these lists here in a minute. I just want to give you guys an update on some of the trades that you guys have been looking at. For the most part, it's found support on the 1026, looking to hop back above those 1188s, 1182s, before I feel comfortable with the trade. If I were to get into it right now, once I get above that level, let it run from there, and keep rolling. TLRY, one of our weed plays, I think it's cheap right now. If you can buy it at the 2114, great. If you can't, I like these $23. And we were actually trying to do some price predictions. I think it came out to about $35 once they merge, where the price points would sit. But APHA is actually the second largest market, but APHA is actually competing with CGC, Canopy Growth Company, which is the leading company in Canada. So I think TLRY is focused in Germany, from what somebody told me. So they'll have the European markets, Canadian markets, and then they'll be targeting the U.S. markets while diversifying their product portfolio, which is great for the most part. I think it's going to be a good hold if you're getting into it and just holding it for, a few months even. I think you'll profit, but long term should pay off as well. With CG, thing else to determine how other plays are going to play out, such as SNDL, things of that nature. But I did some in-depth DD on it. Actually was looking at SNDL and found out a lot more about CGC, oddly enough, next to each other as second. We were looking at Unity Software. I like this company long term. I think Miss Pandy brought this to our attention. You're buying this super cheap, under $100. It's had the downward pressure since the beginning of February when the interest rates started picking up, causing for the tech rotation. You have like a $70 spread once this does pick back up and the yields settle out and quit weighing down on the tech market. I feel like it was a healthy rotation down out of tech, allowing us to buy a lot of these things cheap. Now we're starting to see whether or not, as earnings moves forward into second quarter, or which actually reports first quarter, then you'll actually get a great idea about where these companies' evaluations truly sit versus this large tech influx in investments that have pushed these price points so much higher that it's kind of hard to actually put the market cap next to the actual worth of the company. I think this is going to allow us to identify where these companies actually sit. Definitely something to pay attention to. I'm going to do MCHP, which is our semiconductor, one of our semiconductors plays, our microchips. I saw Intel this morning. I'm going to add it to the list. They're looking at investing about $20 billion in U.S. factories, and I'm sure there's some incentive to do so. We were just talking about Intel yesterday. I think they got a lot of improvement to knock out in comparison to AMD. AMD is just mind-blowing with how much they've just taken over a giant like Intel. But Intel's management has been poor over the past few years. I think for the most part their stock price has declined year over year for at least the last 3 to 5 years or something like that. Last I looked, I might be wrong, don't quote me, but I just know that AMD is doing much better than Intel at this point, so Intel needs to do a lot to recover from that and stay a strong competitor. It's like matching Dell to HP, in my opinion. Which HP is doing a lot. I worked in the healthcare industry and in the IT department, and we worked simultaneously with Dell and HP, and they would always bring in presentations of their new products before they were released. And HP is doing a lot of things that can even compete with Microsoft and the Surface Book. I like what HP is doing, but I just never been a fan of them to begin with. So, but anyways, check out MCHP is at least something. One of the us gather up data and identifying other chip makers. QCOM, MCHP, AMD, Intel. There's another one on the list that I know we have. Let me see. NXPI. Any of those types of stocks, hold them for the next 4 years as long as the administration that's currently is in office. Due to the executive order they just pushed out, we're going to see some funds come into these markets to help them perform better, kill the shortage. I still deal with the chip shortage now to this day, but it's been going on for about 2 years now, for the most part. And I think once that's corrected, we're going to see these sectors really take off. And now that we have the liquidity to do so, I expect that. Let's see. I'm just checking up the chats real quick. I know people are probably talking to me, and I'm just rambling over here. TSM, thank you for letting me know. Texas Instruments, cool. Thank you. Add that to the list. I'm gonna add AMD. I'm gonna add Intel, QQQ. I don't know if we have it on there. I like Qualcomm actually, more so than a lot of the others. I think it runs neck and neck, in my opinion, with AMD. People hit me up. I'm sorry if you are. I am just going on a roll. All right, so we're right at 8:10. Let's check the markets. I've been tracking it since 6:30. We're seeing some pullback, but we're at a score 7 overall. We were just talking about oil plays yesterday, watching the oil plays come into play, and identifying those days. We're up about 3% in oil. So your things like MRO, ZOM, Shell, ZOM being Chevron, Shell, BP. BP is actually a good investment because they're doing EV charging stations. Shell's doing EV charging stations. I think Chevron's working on their own. They're all going into this cleaner energy sector and having the capital that they do. I think they'll always and forever be giants in the energy industries. Excuse me, but definitely something to watch going into today is your oil plays. For the most part, the VIX is only down 0.1%, so this could pick back up pretty quick. S&P showing 0.31% higher than yesterday. NASDAQ showing 0.5, and the Russell outperforming those almost by 2x, 3x at 0.93. Dow Jones, I think, was down 300, 400 points yesterday. But for the most part, it looks like we're picking back up here. So let me look at QQQ real quick. I want to see where we're at on the EMAs and the SPY as well, because I'll be watching that. That was the mistake I made. QCon for Snapdragon all day. Yeah, for sure. And that's, Jen, that's really what we're working on, is building capital using the markets on puts and options and stuff of that nature in order to get free shares of longer term things that we're looking to hold on to. Let's see, we're at 318.70, so we broke back below 319. I said we were probably going to pull back a little bit, which is fine. It can go ahead and do it. Pull back at least to 317.32. I'd be happy with that. Make sure we stay on that support level and we finally retest this top line trend here and go ahead and break out of this thing. Need to get rid of that line there. Go ahead, like I said, this is the compression zone that I've been talking about. I said it was going to come about today, and it looks like it's going to lead up all the way into after hours, and it's going to be very telling. If we break out today, fine. If we don't, find some resistance, I would watch this closer to the end of the day, about 3 o'clock, see if we're breaking down, and then we're going to probably retest the 316.28. We actually had a bunch of puts ourselves on the QQQ. I was looking forward to hit 316.28 yesterday. It came out to about 316.60 at its low. Right before the market closed, we went ahead and hopped out of it because it hit that trend line. That would be the shorter term trend line, and bounced right off of it, and came back up to the longer term, the midterm trend line that we've been following. Even in pre-market, that's where it gapped up to. So pretty much predictions are on point. I just want to watch to see where I made my mistake on Monday. Is, like I said, we were trading above the EMAs. I want to see if we're trading above the EMAs going into today. For the most part, 10-minute looks like we're losing steam, but on the 30-minute, we're still above those EMAs, and that's where I was looking on the 10-minute Monday versus the 30, and that's where I got caught up. I'm going to watch the 30 going into today a lot more, so that doesn't happen again. And I'm going to see if we find support about the 318.59. If we use that support to be a catalyst out of this what would that be, the midterm trend, then we can push back towards 320, capture some gains. We're having a lot of resistance around the 320.69, so we could at least get like a $2.50 jump, which will be about 150 on just one option contract. If we buy multiples, of course that multiplies. You guys know my daily minimum is 104. I've pushed that up to a maximum of 270. If I make $270 a day, that's a salary of 65K a year. So you don't have to be greedy. As long as you're consistent, that's all that matters. You could essentially work for yourself and live freely, financially free. Anything above that is extra and greedy, for the most part, because that's more than what a job offer I currently have is giving me right now, right at the price point. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to match what they're offering me, so I'll feel comfortable with not getting the position in case I don't, or if they offer it to me, I can still work for myself. That's what it's about. That's what I'm trying to teach you guys here. For those that don't know, we've started a small account challenge, and everyone in the group challenge dedicated $200 towards it. We've been trading the markets, the swings in the markets. For the most part, we were up, I think, 150% last week. We had some pullbacks. So we still should be up about 100% since last week. Monday really bite me in the butt. Should have did calls versus puts. Thought it was going to break down. There's indicators, by the way, that showed that we were. But like I said, I missed this 30-minute EMA analysis where we constantly were trading above those EMAs. And I was looking for, just to identify that to everybody that missed out on that conversation, I was looking for a potential EMA fake out versus a breakout. And that looks something like this, where my EMAs go semi-red or partially red, but stay green, and then you break out. So that was a fake out right there, a fake out to the downside with the upside breakout. And then you see it here where we actually have a full breakdown. So I wanted to reiterate that piece of information so you understand what I'm saying going into the markets today, if you're new to the channel and what we're doing. Looks like for the most part we have everybody still here. Anybody got any questions, anything you want to look at before the market's open? We have, I need to open up my platform. I haven't even opened the platform today. I think what I'm going to start doing too is I'm going to give like 5 plays per live stream. Or
I was wondering what your thoughts on FNKO are. It's like Funko.
FNKO?
Yeah, and they're getting into NFTs too. But they're also the company that makes those big bobblehead Walking Dead people and everybody.
Got you.
Yeah, they own Popco.
They own who?
Popco, those
Popco.
big bobbleheads that are the
Got you.
or plastic figurines things.
So it looks like we're finding some rejections around these same price points, around the 18, 19. That could be your catalyst point. For the most part, it looks like the 4 hours are ramped up to take off and break through these levels. We could potentially retest that top line right there. So that's not 12%, is it? I think 1/8 is 12%. Let me see. Let me do some math. So you're looking at a 16% return on it. If it retests those 21.15s, but I think this is going to be a catalyst to push it even higher. Now, you guys already know when I identify my key levels, I go back and see if we've ever traded at these points, and it looks like for the most part we have. And for the most part, at 21.15 played strong levels of support before and semi-resistance at some point too. But the 1885 was actually previously support as well, right here. Broke down from that support, found some rejections back to the upside, but couldn't stay above it, and that's when you saw this downtrend until it made it back. And for a few more sessions, like 2019 April 2019 and September 2019, it used that as support moving forward. So I feel like this is going to be a catalyst to push it through those 21.15s, and then at that point you could look at this potentially retesting these swing trade on this. For the most part, you could at least look at it with your top line being 29.57 is the highest it's ever traded from what this is telling me right here, and then that being another $11 on the trade. So I think it's.
I was actually looking at calls.
Calls. So you have a what is that? A $5 spread, $6 spread? Excuse me. Exactly, $6 spread. Um, I would see how we react to those 1890s first, because we can retest those levels and get rejected again, and come back down. Um, so just be careful. Let's look at the lower time frames real quick. Like I said, the 4 hour was looking prime to take off. If you do a call, and until you confirm that, you know, if you do a call right now, expect to hold a shorter term until it retests those 2115s. See how it reacts then. If it starts to show resistance, strong resistance, and I'm talking about 3 hour confirmations probably of resistance at those levels, potentially pull out of your call, and we're probably going to retest 1890 again. So you can probably catch a put on the downside back to the 1890 for the swing. Make sure we find support there. If we don't find support at the 1890, then it's coming back down to at least the 1650s or so, which is good. Dollars per dollar down, so you'll make about 250 off of that one. But if it finds support at the 1890, 3 hour confirmations, 3 1 hour confirmations is what I'm saying in that, above those levels, then and then we can double check it if you need me to make sure that it's not losing momentum at those points too heavy where it'll break down below it, and you don't sell your puts too soon, and then potentially reversing for another set of calls back to the 2115. I think once it retests 2115 this time, that it'll actually break through those two and hit those 2490 levels that we were looking at a minute ago. So you're looking at a $6 spread on your call. That's about $300 on the play if you're buying in the money calls right now. What you have to compare that with is what it costs to buy in the money calls for a longer expiration date to match what you're looking to make. So if I'm looking to make 350, I'm willing to buy 350 in the money calls, but that might come with a shorter expiration date, which means that it has a stronger theta, right? And that'll burn me quicker versus something longer term. So I'm looking at the trade grid now, or trying to. Oh, there it is. So let's look. Oh, that's QQQ. We're looking at FNKO. Of course, then, you know, on the side too, we can do a fundamental analysis on how well the company's doing. So you're looking at, even looking at the May 21 calls, right? The 1750s, it's already $1.40 deep in the money. I like it. You'll make $65 for every dollar it jumps. So if you're looking at a $3 spread, you'll make about 180 off of it. You'll spend about $350 on it. But we're looking at this going to $24. That's $6, so 6 times 6, that's $360 on the play. If you put $350 on it right now, and it hits $24 by May, then you'll break even. You'll make 100% is what I mean off the trade. So I like it, and I'm kind of eager to go in with you, because you're only losing a theta of $2 per day. Now I do need to look at what our Vega is, and let me add that in here real quick. I'll show you the option. I'll show you on the live stream here in a second. Give me a second. Let me get this spread out, or set up actually. I gotta add my Vega and my Gamma in there after every dollar that it does jump. So I haven't even looked at that. I'm just looking at Delta and Theta right now. Let me save this so I don't have to do it again. There we go. And then spread that out, and then it should pop up right here on us. There it goes. Alright, so what we were looking at was the May 21 750 calls for 350. Might be able to get in a little bit lower. It seems like the next bid is around 320. It's currently up about 76 cents, so you might see this pick up just a little bit more. It might be about close to 400, give or take, but we're looking at potential for a $6 spread. So you'll make break even like right above 25.50, excuse me. But I mean, it's still a nice gain for 300 and $60 plus 5 times 6, so you're looking at 380, 390 areas. But you got to account for the gamma jump for every dollar, so that's 5, so 65, 70, 130, 115, 135, 75, 210, 80, 290. Yeah, so you're looking at like $400. I think you can break even on it. And that's just doing quick math in my head, so don't quote me on any of that, those numbers. But I do expect you to make at least 360 off the call if you're looking to do that. Looks like we're about to open in 2 minutes and 33 seconds, so I'm going to track the markets here. I'm going to get back to that play. I see we have some people on the live stream. If you will, let me know who's there. I see Reg and J-Dub are over there. Be sure to join us on the Discord, J-Dub, Reg, as we move forward with the small account challenge. But I'm going to leave the live stream open because there are a few more people on there. I want to figure out who's there. I'm going to share my Discord channel for you, so you can join us there and continue the conversation after we end the live stream.
Yeah, I'm in the live on the Discord.
Oh, I see. Dropping the link in the chat now for the Discord. BLF. I have a few minutes to look at this before we open. How many minutes do I have? I have a minute and a half, so let's do it quick. BLFS. Man, I need more coffee. Terribly. Looks like we'll find a strong support right here around the 34.94. Watch out for resistance around the 45.99. I like the spread of $4. It'll give you close to 10% on it, shortly under 10%. I like longer, wider spreads on it. Yeah, it looks like that resistance is played very strong around the 46 levels. So watch those if you're gonna hop in this. Looks like it might have a gap down back to $39, $40 price range, so watch out for that. Looks like it had a good earnings report, so the breakout might consolidate just a little bit more, and people might allow it to dip some more, so you can buy it even cheaper. To look at Phil, I'm not rushing into jumping into anything this morning too quick. But for the most part, we're bouncing off that EMA and we're looking at that support level. So let's see how we react to that going into market open, which is in 11 seconds, guys. Here we go. Broke down. See what happens. 30 minutes showing potential for a pullback. For you guys that weren't able to sell your put options, you might be able to capture some of these lows again, but the theta burn might take up some of that on you. 15 minutes showing pullback. Let me track the market. Seeing pullbacks from this morning. Market open. The SPY's up about 0.44%. Same with the NASDAQ, about 4%. Showing some rejections. Let me look at this on the 30 and see where we're at on it. Yeah, see, the SPY is actually trading within its EMA, so it's up in the air on what this could do. Breaking 318 on QQQ now. I know that I said we would probably wait for 9 o'clock, but I wanted it to hit that 180. And I'm looking at going ahead personally, potentially doing some calls there. If you're on the live stream, please feel free to join us on the Discord. We will move forward there with our being able to get out of that put option you were stuck in that I think you said Webull wouldn't sell for you yesterday. So the Watchman, that's who that is. What's up, man? Thank you for joining us this morning. We have Imperium in here. Good morning. Drea joined us this morning.
So we're looking
Jen.
at calls for QQQ today.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for the right opportunity to hop into it. I'm gonna be watching for reversals. I'll call that.
Yeah, morning, man. It's the first time I joined the stream, so it's pretty nice.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for joining us. I've been looking forward to, I want to merge everything together, like where we have it side by side, where we have the investors talk team here, where we have global markets centers here. Andre is representing them, and then Millennial Investments. And if we're gonna start doing that every morning, then I'll go ahead and prop the logos side by side in my thumbnail from now on. But
All right. Yeah, it's cool. That's cool.
Cool.
Yeah, so I had to change my name because I use this for other stuff too, like other games and stuff. So I was like, shit, I gotta change this to my actual name on the investment chat. Otherwise, they're like, who the fuck's this guy?
Hello. Good. How are you doing?
Oh, that QQQ's pushing down nicely. Imagine if we had stayed in there from yesterday.
So what we're about to see happen right here is a double RSI dip. And I think we're gonna hit that bottom trend line. Some of you guys that have been in the small group challenge knows what I mean by a double RSI dip. It's when anything particular that we're watching goes into an oversold status. It comes back out on a rebound, but then ultimately gets rejected again. Comes back down at a lower price point. So we might be able to you might be able to actually capture 319, and probably kind of burns you. So there we go. I'll be watching the 15-second to look for reversal. I think for the most part, if we stay on that bottom trend line, then I'll be comfortable with the calls. But so just to let you guys understand what I'm looking at is, if I can make 105 a day, that's my minimum. I can sit here every day with you guys on YouTube for free, and even on the Discord call for that matter. But if I can make $270 a day, I think that's like $65,000 a year. I did some numbers. That would be using about $1,200 to $1,600 just off swinging, day trading swings in the markets. So I'm gonna use about $1,200 to $600 today. That's my limit, and that'll allow me to have cash put to the side if I need to ladder attack it anymore. So it looks like we are bouncing off of that level there that I identified, that intraday trend. I'm gonna get ready to start buying. I'm looking at March 31st, 7 days out, calls on it. I'm gonna let it tap again. It looks like it might do another RSI dip here, and I'm looking at, for you guys that are only playing with $300, you can look at the 320. For you guys that are up to about $500, I'm gonna buy in the money calls around for the 317. That's the March 21st calls on the QQQ. All right, I think it's about to reverse here in a second. Yeah, we're reversing, so I'm going ahead and buying mine for 490. Of course, you know I'm gonna ladder attack it anyway, so you might be able to get that cheaper than I did.
So you're saying take the 317?
317, March 31st, call options. Looks like it's breaking down here. So if you haven't gotten into this, just give it a second before you do, because it hasn't necessarily. I went ahead and jumped in because I saw some slight reversals, but It's heavily oversold right now. On the 1 minute, I'm looking forward to at least hit 317.37, see how it reacts. If it does terrible for me right there, then I'll go ahead and hop out and reset myself with another put option to be in unison with you guys. I'm only down $6 right now, but I think it's about to pick back up here, so let me look on the 15-second. Yeah, I think so. Let me see. Sell volume's kicking up though still. I want to see the buy volume start picking up a little bit. Let me look at all my time frames. Make sure you guys get a good entry. So we have one in the 15-second. I want the 10-minute right here. Yeah, it looks like we're going to tap that level again. So, and then I'm going to put the QQQ right here, longer time frames. Tapping that level now.
What were you saying to get in there cheaper?
I'm watching it right now to give you guys the green light.
What did you say was a cheaper play?
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me look. What are you playing with? 360 or so? You can get the 319s. But let's make sure, for you guys' sake, let's make sure we don't totally just drop out here. Pop that and just hit. Give me a second. And we're pulling down more. Let me pull my longer time frames in here because I'm not looking at those. Has anybody jumped into this trade already? I just want to make sure that you guys are still on hold. Huh?
Not yet, I'm waiting for your green light.
Alright, cool. Like I said earlier, if we break below that trend, then we're going to be looking at the 316.28s for support.
What was the move?
We're looking at calls on the QQQ for March 31st. How much are you playing with on the small account challenge? I'm gonna go ahead and kill the live stream. If you're on the live stream, feel free to join our Discord. 375, cool. So that puts you up about. You could probably get the 319s for 350. So I'm cutting the live stream. Thank you for joining us on YouTube. If you haven't already, please feel free to join us on Discord. So you can join our Discord voice channel, and we'll continue moving.